Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today is Monday, January 19th, 2026. And I have to say, looking at the calendar this morning, it felt, I don't know, a little different, a little heavier.
It does, doesn't it? We're here.
We are here. If you're listening to this on your commute, just take a quick look out the window.
Yeah.
Does the sky look a bit more ominous than usual?
Yeah.
I ask, because if you spend any time in the, let's say, stranger corners of the internet.
Oh, yeah. The forums, the conspiracy threads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know that we have officially arrived in the timeline, the one that's been circled and readying for, what, over a decade now?
We certainly have. We are officially living in the future everyone was speculating about, the year 2026.
The year of the great unraveling, I think one source called it.
Depending on which subreddit you subscribe to, absolutely.
We made it. Or maybe we're just getting started with the chaos.
Right.
Today, we're unpacking the predictions of the legendary Bulgarian mystic Baba Vanga. Specifically, everything attributed to her for this year, 2026. We've got a summary of the viral claims circulating online, everything people believe she said would happen right now.
And it is quite a list. I mean, we are looking at everything from geopolitics to literal extraterrestrial contact.
It's a fascinating mix of terrifying and sort of...
Cinematic.
Cinematic is the perfect word. It feels like the writer's room for a summer blockbuster just threw everything at the wall.
It really does.
But before we get to the aliens,
Yeah.
and yes, you heard that right, there are absolutely aliens on the agenda for later this year, we need to figure out what's really going on.
Exactly.
Because this isn't just about reading tea leaves. It's about a cultural phenomenon. Why is a woman who died 30 years ago suddenly trending on social media?
That is the real question. To understand the prediction, you have to understand the source. And the source here is incredibly complicated.
You called it something earlier.
I like to call it digital folklore.
Digital folklore. I love that. So the mission for this deep dive is to separate the signal from the noise. We're going to walk through this 2026 bingo card.
World War III, economic collapse, ETs.
The whole thing. But we're going to look at it through a skeptical lens. We want to know why people presume she said this and what that tells us about ourselves in 2026.
Precisely. Because when you peel back the layers, these prophecies are often less about the future and more about a reflection of our current collective anxiety.
They're a mirror, not a window.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, let's get the heavy lifting out of the way first, the disclaimer.
The big one.
Every year, these Vanga lists go viral. Vanga predicted 9/11. Vanga predicted Brexit. But when we looked for the primary source for the 2026 list,
Yeah.
what did we find?
We found a void. And this is the part that usually upsets the true believers, but we have to be rigorous here.
Okay.
There are no verified written records of specific predictions made by Baba Vanga for the year 2026.
Okay, let's clarify that because her name is everywhere. She was a real person, right?
Oh, she was very real. Vangelia Gushtarova. Lived in Bulgaria, she was blind, and during the Soviet era, she was a massive figure.
Like people visited her.
We're talking politicians, celebrities, even heads of state. She was essentially a state-sponsored oracle. But, and this is the key, she didn't write books.
Right.
She didn't leave a manifesto labeled The Future of the World.
So she wasn't like Nostradamus sitting in a tower writing cryptic poems.
No. She gave personal readings. Most of what she said was about their personal lives, their health, their missing relatives. The global prophecies we see online today are largely the result of a 30-year game of telephone.
30 years. She died in 1996. That is a long time for a message to get corrupted.
It is. So imagine a rumor starts in 97, gets translated into Russian, then English, posted on a GeoCities site in 2002.
Wow.
Reposted on 4chan in 2015, and then lands on a TikTok video in 2026. By the time it reaches us, it's not history, it's content.
It's viral folklore. It's almost like open source prophecy. The internet just crowdsources its fears and attaches them to her name to give them legitimacy.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a classic authority bias. If I tell you, I think the stock market will crash, you scroll past.
Yeah, who are you?
Right. But if I tell you, the blind mystic who predicted the fall of the Soviet Union says the market will crash, you click. Her name is an SEO keyword for doom.
Okay, so with that established, we're analyzing a remix of prophecy, not a direct quote. Let's look at the playlist for 2026, because it's going to be intense.
That's one word for it.
Let's start with the geopolitical stuff. Global stability. Or maybe the lack thereof.
Stability is probably the wrong word here. The sources are pretty unanimous on this one. 2026 is cited as the year of a major global conflict.
Some are even throwing around the term World War III.
They are. And the prediction specifically cites rising tensions between world powers as the catalyst. Now, you might say,
Well, that's incredibly vague. Tensions between world powers describes pretty much every year since 1945.
exactly. It's not a sharpshooter calling his shot. But think about the timing. We're recording this in January 2026. If you look at the actual headlines today, instability in Eastern Europe, friction in the Pacific,
Resource wars.
it all feels incredibly weighty. This is what we call the Barnum effect in psychology.
Walk us through that, the Barnum effect.
It's when a statement is so vague it could apply to anyone or any era, but individuals feel it's specifically about them. It's the horoscope principle.
Okay.
Global tensions is a generic statement,
Here.
but because we are living through specific tensions right now, our brains fill in the gaps. We read the prophecy and say, oh, she meant this conflict over the chip shortage. We do the work for her.
So we're basically retconning the prediction in real time. We take the headline from today's news and paste it over the quote from the mystic.
Precisely.
But the list doesn't stop at shooting wars. It moves into economic warfare, too. The sources mention a great financial reset for 2026.
Yes. This is the other side of the coin. The viral claims warn of a massive economic downturn. We're talking bank runs, currency devaluation.
A shift away from traditional money,
Yeah,
which, again, feels so modern.
it does.
If this was a prophecy from 1980, it would be about a bread shortage or gold standards. But currency devaluation and market instability feel very tied to our current anxieties about crypto and inflation.
That's a great observation. This is why I suspect these 2026 predictions were generated or at least embellished very, very recently. They reflect the fears of the 2020s.
Right. We are worried about the fragility of the banking system right now, so of course Vanga predicted it.
Yeah.
It validates our feeling that the system is broken.
There's a feedback loop, isn't there? The war causes economic fear. The economic fear creates political instability, which leads back to war.
It's a doom spiral. And in the conspiracy world, these two always dance together.
Yeah.
It has to be total systemic collapse. That's the narrative. All or nothing. So the human structures break. Borders fail. Banks fail. But, and here's where the script just completely flips. Yeah. Our problems aren't just homegrown.
No, we have to look up.
Ah, yes. The sci-fi turn. This is where things get really interesting.
This is the part of the source material where I had to double check if I was reading a prophecy blog or a movie treatment.
Me too. Because according to the viral claims, 2026 is the year we find out. We're not alone.
This is definitely the blockbuster claim of the bunch. The source material notes a widely shared belief that Baba Vanga predicted humanity's first direct contact with extraterrestrials in 2026.
But it's not just sometime in 2026. The source was oddly specific.
It was. The claim circulating specifies that a massive alien spacecraft will enter Earth's atmosphere in November 2026.
November. Okay, so we have a date. That is
Bold.
incredibly bold. Usually psychics avoid dates because it makes it way too easy to be proven wrong. But that specificity is what makes this claim go viral.
It gives people a countdown. It transforms this vague anxiety into a scheduled event.
So, doing the math, it's January. We have roughly 10 months to get ready for the mothership.
Better start braining the Thanksgiving turkey early, I guess.
Seriously. Can you imagine that dinner conversation? Past the cranberry sauce? And why is the sky glowing green?
Right.
But let's analyze this. Why aliens? And why now? Vanga's usual predictions were about disasters, wars, very grounded, gritty stuff. Aliens feel like a total genre shift.
It's a huge shift, and I think it speaks to something sociologists call ontological shock.
Okay, define that for us.
Ontological shock is the collapse of your worldview. It's what happens when a reality you didn't think is possible suddenly becomes real. And in the last few years, with the government releasing UAP reports, hearings in Congress, the taboo is gone.
So the folklore is just catching up to the news cycle again.
Precisely. 5 years ago, an alien prediction would have been fringe. Today, it feels like the logical next step in a crazy decade. We are primed for it.
And you think people are almost craving it. That seems counterintuitive.
Maybe not craving an invasion, but an intervention. Think about the first part of our list, war and economic collapse. We feel stuck.
Helpless.
Right, our politics are broken, our economy is broken. So the fantasy of the alien arrival is a deus ex machina. It's a god from the machine that comes down from the sky and either saves us or forces us to unite.
That is actually really profound and a little sad. We're so tired of our own mess that we're inventing space tourists to distract us.
Or to just reset the board. If a massive ship appears in November, nobody cares about interest rates anymore. The entire context of humanity changes in an instant.
It's the Watchmen scenario, a common threat uniting everyone.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that change the definition of humanity, we have another non-human intelligence on the bingo card.
Yes, AI.
Yeah.
And this one feels less like a prophecy and more like a tech newsletter.
Right. The claim state Vanga warned that by 2026, artificial intelligence would become so powerful it reshapes human roles in decision-making.
Which, let's be honest, is happening. We're using AI tools to help research this very show. The prediction is just describing the present.
Exactly.
But the phrasing is interesting. Reshaping human roles. It touches on that deep fear of obsolescence. Not the Terminator fear of robots with guns, but the quiet fear of, I am no longer necessary.
The rise of the useless class.
And attributing this to a blind mystic gives that fear a mythical weight. It makes it feel like destiny. It's not just that Silicon Valley is pushing code. It's that the fates decreed this would happen.
That's a dangerous mindset, though, isn't it? If we think AI dominance is prophesied, we stop trying to regulate it. We just accept it.
That's the dark side of believing in determinism. If it's written in the stars, why fight it?
So we have aliens coming to look at us and AI coming to replace us. It feels like a crisis of identity. What does it even mean to be human in 2026?
It seems to be the core theme of this year's lore, an identity crisis on a planetary scale.
But we haven't even talked about the planet itself yet, because apparently Earth is also scheduled to have a meltdown this year.
Of course. The environmental predictions. It wouldn't be a Baba Vanga list without them. The sources cite powerful earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and, quote, extreme weather affecting a notable portion of the planet.
A notable portion. I love how bureaucratic that sounds, like an insurance policy.
It's the perfect hedge. A hurricane hits Florida. That's a notable portion. A heat wave in Europe. Notable portion. Statistically, extreme weather is guaranteed every single year.
Especially now.
Right. With climate change, the baseline for extreme is constantly moving. So this prediction has a 100% hit rate. It's a safe bet.
And it just piles on the anxiety. The geopolitical world is unsafe, the financial world is unsafe, and now the physical ground you stand on is unsafe.
It creates a sense of no exit. There's nowhere to hide, which is why the final item on the list is so jarring.
Yeah.
Amidst all this destruction, there was a sudden pivot to hope.
The medical breakthrough. This one really stood out to me.
The sources claim that 2026 could bring a major milestone in medical tech, specifically mentioning something like early cancer detection.
That feels like it was pasted in from a completely different document. We have the apocalypse, and a cure for cancer.
It's whiplash, but it's consistent with how myths work. You need a Pandora's box element. You release all the evils, but you have to leave hope at the bottom.
If it was only doom and gloom, people would tune out. It's too depressing.
Exactly. The medical miracle gives you a reason to keep reading, and it captures that duality perfectly. We want technology to save us from our biology, but we don't want it to replace our minds.
Okay, so we've unpacked the full list. World War III, a global financial crash, an alien invasion in November, an AI takeover, natural disasters, and a medical miracle.
It is quite a year. It's a blockbuster script.
When you step back and look at this as a sociologist, what does this list tell us about us? Why do we keep resurrecting Baba Vanga every January?
I think it comes down to a concept called patternicity. Our brains are wired to find patterns in chaos, and the world in 2026 feels incredibly chaotic.
Random. And randomness is terrifying.
Exactly. Because if it's random, nobody is in control. But if a war starts because a mystic predicted it 50 years ago, that implies a plan.
It implies a script.
And if there is a script, maybe there is a director. So even a bad prophecy is comforting because it implies order. We would rather be doomed by destiny than just be unlucky victims of chaos.
It compartmentalizes the dread.
It does. And we are not just consumers of these myths. We are creators. Every time someone retweets the alien prediction, they are adding to the mythology. We are building a collaborative ghost story around the digital campfire.
That's a vivid image. We're all huddled around the glow of our smartphones telling scary stories because it's better than sitting in the dark.
And Baba Vanga is just the character we cast as the narrator. She looks the part, the blind mystic from the mountains. She fits the archetype.
So, the verdict. Do we need to sell our stocks and buy a bunker for November?
Look, the sources are unverified. The historical record doesn't support these specific predictions, but the themes are real. The geopolitical risk is real. The AI disruption is real.
You don't need a psychic for that.
No, the prophecy is just a dramatic retelling of the news. But I will say this. If I see a spaceship in November, I'm going to be the first one to tweet, "She told you so."
You and everyone else.
Yeah.
The "I told you so" factor would be off the charts.
It would be the most satisfying tweet in history.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive. We've covered the wars, the wallets, and the visitors from the stars. It's a lot to process.
It is. But remember, the future isn't written. These lists are a reflection of what we fear, but what actually happens is still up to us. Mostly.
Mostly. I like that caveat.
Well, unless the aliens are already en route, then it's out of our hands.
Which brings me to our closing thought for you, the listener. We've talked a lot about fear today. Fear of AI, fear of war. But I want you to dwell on that alien prediction one last time. The internet collectively invented a rumor that we are not alone and that we will meet them this year. Is it fear?
Or is it wish fulfillment?
Or is it loneliness? In a world where we feel more isolated than ever, maybe we aren't looking at the sky because we're scared of monsters. Maybe we're just desperate for someone or something to acknowledge that we exist, to just look at us.
Sometimes looking at the stars is just a way to avoid looking in the mirror.
Something to think about this week. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Seriously, keep an eye on the sky in November, just in case.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you next time.